Hello friends. In this video I want to talk about Toltecs and advanced civilizations. This is a follow-up to my earlier video that I posted about the Toltecs and Teotihuacan. So here's a brief summary of what I covered in that previous video. Toltec is a Nahuatl word meaning master craftsman. And the largest Toltec site that we know about is Teotihuacan near Mexico City. Teotihuacan was settled between 200 BC back through to maybe 1100 BC or earlier, and that depends on who you talk to. If you talk to the inhabitants around Mexico City themselves, the descendants of the Aztecs who lived there, they say that it was built even thousands of years earlier. We're guessing, based on the size of the city, it was a metropolis that had more than 200,000 inhabitants. It had wide commerce with the coasts, the oceans, different areas, and we can tell that based on the relics that were at Teotihuacan and Teotihuacan-style artifacts that were found elsewhere in the region. And it's very likely that Teotihuacan was a site of specialized training for Toltec adepts, folks who would come there perhaps during a festival and be identified by the priest or those who were higher trained in the Toltec wisdoms. They would, during these times, identify young people who would then enter the programs of training to become a Toltec themselves. So what I want to do now is bridge and summarize from the previous video for us some lessons that we can pull from Teotihuacan on how we could participate in witnessing the rise of an advanced civilization once again upon the planet. So the doorway to establishing an advanced civilization is developed awareness of both energy and polarity, and especially both of these terms apply to the field of vibration. So once you understand that vibration exists, and you see its different forms of manifestation, such as energy and polarity, then you begin to talk or converse in the lingua franca of the universe, which is vibration itself. And once you begin to tune into vibration, quite naturally, you will gain a heightened awareness. You'll understand and know the power of sound, and you'll work with sound. In the yogic traditions and different traditions from the Middle East, people there work with mantras, different forms of repetitive sound, creative sound, in order to heighten their ability to tune into vibratory fields of energy. And you also, along this path, begin to tune into alternative sources of information beyond what just the physical senses know about. So here's a summary of what we can learn from Teotihuacan. So an advanced civilization witnessed from Teotihuacan understands the importance of and the connections of all life forms. So it's not just the man show, the human show, but it's all of the life forms that are on the planet. They're all here for a reason. They all have something to share. They all have a right to existence. So how do we live together with them? An advanced civilization will also seek to understand the functioning of the world in order to act in harmony with it. So again, through awareness, through observation of vibration, and through observation of how the world works, an advanced civilization will make it one of its priorities to function in harmony with the world rather than to function in disharmony with the world. And an advanced civilization will support the development and maturation of consciousness. And that's one of the primary things that an advanced civilization is about. Regardless of how you think we got here, your theory of evolution or whatever, if you look across the different life forms, whether or not you consider mankind to be the most advanced that we know about, all of these different forms have different abilities, but with us, we demonstrate the ability to apply our consciousness in more ways than other life forms that we're currently aware of. So regarding the maturation of consciousness, how do you mature your consciousness? Well, again, you would recognize the unity of all beings and things. And at Teotihuacan, this is a temple that was recently excavated underground called the Temple of the Flying Conchs. And all through Teotihuacan, there are very interesting allusions or associations to different forms of life, different goddesses, gardens. In fact, Teotihuacan itself was very much into life forms from the oceans. And you see these depicted on a lot of the artwork in Teotihuacan. So recognize the unity of all beings and things. Also, to mature your consciousness, you would promote the understanding and development of these pillars of civilization, which are love, harmony, and beauty. And in fact, those three specific pillars were part of the mantra or the sayings of the Sufi who came to the United States in the beginning of the 1900s, Hazrat Inayat Khan. Again, Teotihuacan is an excellent example of displaying beauty, harmonics in design, and no doubt to live in a place like this, there would be love manifested among the inhabitants, many depictions of the goddess with her arms outstretched in a loving, offering way to support life on the planet all throughout Teotihuacan. So to develop your consciousness, focus on love, harmony, and beauty. Now, as you align yourselves on those pillars of love, harmony, and beauty, a civilization is going to organize itself around certain values that come out of those three primary ones. Those are naturally going to be horticulture. And horticulture is not just agriculture, but horticulture or working with plants themselves brings out a set of sensitivities within a person. Any child who has an interest in plants is somebody who is very much open to learning about music, learning about later in life higher mathematics, learning about healing, about art, because there's something about working with plants that brings out the vibratory effect or the vibratory sensitivities of life in general with us. So hanging gardens, different forms of working with canals or irrigation in order to grow plants, and not just for agriculture, but living and growing with plants together. Certainly, you're going to form groups or disciplines around healing, also around art. Education is going to be a top priority. Philosophy. Now, philosophy is something in our own culture that has sort of gone by the wayside because of science and because of religion. We've sort of polarized our belief systems into what we can prove scientifically and what we can say dogmatically. But philosophy, or the study of life, is really about examining what are the possibilities around life and what are the values of life. And philosophy has really kind of gone into decay here since the rise of the scientific revolution. So philosophy is something that we need to bring back and need to have people who are able to talk about what are the basic principles of the universe, how did we get here, what things are important to a human being, all of those things. We need to be able to converse them and not just talk about, the score from yesterday's game or whatever. We need to be talking about reality. And certainly play, different forms of direct play, not just spectator sports, but ways to play together, ways to play with your family, with people who are around you, to engage in forms of play which allow people to interact with one another and to express with one another. We do not have very many forms of play today. We have organized sports, but they're very restricted in what you do based on the rules of the game, etc. So I'm talking about more types of creative outlets. And certainly a lot of self-disciplines, meditation, yoga, these things help you to define who you are, discover who you are by expressing and experiencing, exploring your mind and your body.